Okay, so before we dive in today, Joanne, I have to ask you something that's going to shock our listeners.
Oh no, what did you do now?
I discovered that my healthy glass of red wine with dinner, it's literally, and I mean literally, poisoning my brain cells as we speak.
Wait, are you serious right now? You're the guy who told me last week that wine was basically a health food?
I know. But guys, welcome to the Vitariq Health Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Joanne, and apparently I need to fact check everything Matt says before we record.
Hey, but seriously, today we're talking about what alcohol actually does to your body and brain, and spoiler alert, it's not what you think, even if you're having one or two drinks.
Right, and we're going to break this down in a way that actually makes sense because, let's be honest, most of the information out there is either way too scientific or just straight up wrong.
Exactly. So whether you're someone who has a glass of wine with dinner, or you're that person who secretly drinks a whole bottle on Friday night,
Matt, that's oddly specific.
I'm just saying, we're going to cover it all. The good, the bad, and well, mostly the bad if we're being honest.
Okay, so let's start with the elephant in the room. Matt, what made you suddenly realize that your wine habit might not be as healthy as you thought?
So, funny story, I was reading this study, right? And it turns out that even small amounts of alcohol, like we're talking one drink, can disrupt your sleep cycles for up to 6 hours.
Wait, 6 hours? That seems like a lot.
I know. And here I am wondering why I've been waking up at 3 a.m. every night after my relaxing evening wine.
Oh my God, you've been poisoning your own sleep. That's actually kind of hilarious.
Thanks for the sympathy, Joanne. Really feeling the support here.
Sorry. But okay, let's back up a bit. What actually happens when alcohol enters your body, like from the very first sip?
Great question. So within about 5 to 10 minutes of taking that first drink, alcohol starts getting absorbed into your bloodstream through your stomach lining.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean terrifying. Your liver can only process about one standard drink per hour. So if you're having 2 drinks in an hour,
The second one just sits there, waiting in line?
exactly. It's like, imagine your liver is a single checkout lane at the grocery store, and alcohol is this really slow customer who pays with exact change.
That's actually a really good analogy. So what happens to that backup alcohol?
Well, it just circulates around your body, wreaking havoc. It crosses your blood-brain barrier, which, by the way, is supposed to protect your brain from toxins.
But alcohol just waltzes right through?
Exactly. And once it's in your brain, it starts messing with your neurotransmitters. Specifically, it enhances something called GABA.
GABA. That sounds familiar. Isn't that like a calming neurotransmitter?
Bingo. That's why you feel relaxed when you drink. But here's the kicker. While it's boosting GABA, it's also suppressing glutamate, which is your brain's main excitatory neurotransmitter.
Okay, so that doesn't sound terrible, like less excitement, more calm?
That's what I thought too. But your brain is smart, maybe too smart. It realizes what's happening and tries to compensate.
Compensate how?
Well, it starts producing less GABA naturally and more glutamate to balance things out. So when the alcohol wears off...
Oh no, you get rebound anxiety?
Yes, exactly. Your brain is now in this state where it has too much excitatory activity and not enough calming activity. That's why you might feel anxious or jittery the next day, even if you only had one drink.
That actually explains so much. I always wondered why I felt weird the day after having just one glass of wine with dinner.
Right? And this is just from one drink. Imagine what happens when people binge drink on weekends.
Okay, but let's talk about sleep because you mentioned that earlier, and I think
A lot of our listeners probably use alcohol to help them fall asleep.
Guilty as charged. I literally used to think wine was like natural melatonin or something.
Wine is not natural melatonin, Matt.
I know that now, but seriously, alcohol might help you fall asleep faster.
There's a but coming, isn't there?
Oh, there's a huge but. While alcohol might make you drowsy initially, it completely destroys your sleep quality.
How so?
Well, first off, it reduces REM sleep, that's the restorative sleep where your brain processes memories and emotions.
So you're basically trading quick sleep for crappy sleep.
Exactly. And it also makes you wake up more frequently during the night. Your sleep becomes fragmented, even if you don't remember waking up.
Huh. Is that why people feel tired even after a full night's sleep when they've been drinking?
Yes. Plus, alcohol is a diuretic, so you're probably going to wake up needing to pee at least once or twice.
The glamorous side of drinking that nobody talks about.
Right? And here's something that blew my mind. Alcohol actually increases your core body temperature while you sleep.
Really? Because I always feel cold when I drink.
That's because alcohol dilates your blood vessels, so you feel warm initially, but your core temperature actually rises, which disrupts your natural sleep temperature regulation.
So basically, alcohol is it's just messing with everything that's supposed to happen during sleep.
Pretty much. And we haven't even talked about what it does to your liver yet.
Do I want to know?
Probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So your liver has to work overtime to process alcohol because technically alcohol is a toxin.
Wait, a toxin? Like, actually?
Yes! Your body treats alcohol the same way it treats poison. That's why you get a hangover. It's literally your body recovering from being poisoned.
That's actually kind of disturbing when you put it that way.
I know. So your liver prioritizes processing alcohol over everything else. That means it puts other important functions on hold.
Like, what kind of functions?
Well, fat metabolism for one. So if you eat while drinking, or even if you ate earlier that day, your body is going to store more of those calories as fat because your liver is too busy dealing with the alcohol.
Great. So not only is alcohol disrupting my sleep, it's also making me gain weight?
I know. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, that's part of it. Plus, alcohol itself has calories, about 7 calories per gram.
How does that compare to other things?
Well, protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9. So alcohol is closer to fat in terms of caloric density.
And it has zero nutritional value.
Exactly. It's literally empty calories that your body has to work extra hard to process. It's like, imagine eating a donut that also required your liver to do overtime.
That's such a weird analogy, but it totally makes sense.
I'm full of weird analogies today, apparently.
Okay, but let's talk about the brain stuff more, because I think that's what really freaks people out. What's actually happening up there when we drink?
Right. So we talked about the neurotransmitter stuff, but there's more. Alcohol also affects your prefrontal cortex, which is basically your decision-making center.
Is that why people make bad decisions when they drink?
Exactly. Your prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of your brain. It's supposed to think things through and make rational decisions. But alcohol basically gives the CEO the day off.
So who's running the company?
Your limbic system, which is basically your emotional, impulsive brain. It's like letting a toddler make all your life decisions.
That explains so many drunk texts I've sent.
Right? Let me tell my ex exactly how I feel at 2 a.m. That's definitely a good idea.
Stop, you're making me remember things I'd rather forget.
But seriously, this is why drunk driving is so dangerous. It's not just that your reflexes are slower, your ability to assess risk is completely compromised.
Yeah, that makes sense. What else happens to the brain?
Well, chronic drinking can actually shrink your brain tissue, like literally make your brain smaller.
That's terrifying.
I know, and it particularly affects the hippocampus, which is crucial for memory formation. That's why people have blackouts when they drink too much.
Is that reversible? Like, if someone stops drinking, does their brain go back to normal?
That's actually a great question. The brain is surprisingly resilient, so some recovery is possible, but it takes time. We're talking months to years, depending on how much damage was done.
Okay, this is all pretty scary, but I feel like we should talk about the whole moderate drinking is healthy thing, because I've heard that forever.
Yeah, about that. So, there have been studies suggesting that moderate drinking, particularly red wine, might have some health benefits.
The antioxidants, right? And what's it called? Resveratrol?
Yes, red wine does contain resveratrol, which has antioxidant properties. But here's the thing. You can get way more resveratrol from eating grapes or drinking grape juice.
So basically, we're poisoning ourselves for antioxidants we could get from grape juice?
Pretty much. Plus, most of those studies have some serious flaws. They often don't account for other lifestyle factors.
Like what?
Well, people who drink moderate amounts of wine tend to have higher incomes, better health care, healthier diets, so it might not be the wine that's making them healthier.
That's actually a really good point. It's correlation, not causation.
Exactly. And even if there are some benefits, they're probably outweighed by all the negative effects we've been talking about.
So what about people who just enjoy drinking? Like, they're not trying to be healthy, they just like the taste or the social aspect.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell people they can never have a drink. But I think it's important to be honest about what you're trading off.
What do you mean?
Well, if you know that having a glass of wine is going to disrupt your sleep, make you more anxious tomorrow, and require your liver to work overtime, and you decide it's worth it for the enjoyment you get, that's your choice.
Right. It's about informed consent. Like, at least know what you're signing up for.
Exactly. But don't pretend it's healthy or that there aren't consequences.
So basically, stop lying to ourselves about wine being a health food?
Yes, wine is not a vegetable, Matt. Get over it.
Did you actually think wine was a vegetable?
I mean, it comes from grapes. Grapes are fruit. Fruit is basically vegetables.
Oh my God, that's not how any of this works.
I know. But this is how we rationalize things, right? We want to believe that our habits are healthier than they actually are.
Yeah, that's true. So, what about people who want to cut back or stop drinking? Any tips?
Well, first off, if someone is drinking heavily, they should definitely talk to a doctor before stopping completely, because withdrawal can be dangerous.
Really? It can be that serious?
Yeah, alcohol withdrawal can actually be life-threatening in severe cases. So please talk to a healthcare provider if you're drinking daily or in large amounts.
Curious. What about for people who just want to cut back on their weekend drinking or their nightly glass of wine?
For those folks, it might be helpful to find alternative ways to relax or socialize. Like if you're drinking wine to unwind after work, maybe try herbal tea or meditation.
Joanne, meditation instead of wine? That's gonna be a hard sell for some people.
I know. But here's the thing. Alcohol might feel relaxing in the moment, but it's actually increasing your overall stress levels because of that rebound anxiety we talked about.
So you might actually feel more relaxed overall if you find other ways to unwind?
Exactly. Plus, you'll sleep better, which means you'll handle stress better the next day. It's like a positive feedback loop.
What about the social aspect? I feel like so much of adult socializing revolves around drinking.
Yeah, that's a real challenge.
I think it helps to have a plan, like order a mocktail or bring your own non-alcoholic drinks to parties.
And what about dealing with peer pressure? Because some people can be really weird about it when you're not drinking.
Unfortunately, some people do get defensive when others choose not to drink. It might make them question their own drinking habits.
Which is kind of telling, isn't it?
Right? If someone gets upset that you're not drinking, that says more about them than it does about you.
True. Okay, so let's talk about some practical stuff. If someone does choose to drink occasionally, are there ways to minimize the damage?
Great question. So first, never drink on an empty stomach. Food slows down alcohol absorption.
What kind of food is best?
Protein and healthy fats are ideal. They take more energy to digest and help slow down absorption even more.
Okay, what else?
Hydrate like crazy. Drink water before, during, and after drinking alcohol. A good rule is 1 glass of water for every alcoholic drink.
So basically double your liquid intake for the night?
Pretty much. Also, avoid drinking close to bedtime. Give your body at least 3 hours to process the alcohol before you try to sleep.
What about those hangover cures people talk about? Do any of them actually work?
Unfortunately, the only real cure for a hangover is time. Your body just has to process the alcohol and recover from the toxic effects.
So all those hangover pills and remedies are basically useless?
Well, staying hydrated helps, and electrolytes can be beneficial since alcohol depletes them, but there's no magic bullet.
Damn, I was hoping you'd tell me about some secret hangover cure.
Sorry to disappoint. The best hangover cure is prevention, which means drinking less or not at all.
Wow, groundbreaking advice there, Matt.
I know, I'm full of revolutionary insights today.
Okay, but seriously, what about people who are curious about the non-alcoholic alternatives? Are there good options out there now?
Oh, this is actually really exciting. The non-alcoholic beverage industry has exploded in recent years. There are some really sophisticated alcohol-free wines and beers.
Do they actually taste good, or are we talking about glorified grape juice here?
No, some of them are legitimately impressive. They use techniques like reverse osmosis to remove alcohol while keeping the flavor compounds.
That sounds fancy. What about for cocktails?
There are tons of great mocktail recipes, and you can get creative with things like kombucha, sparkling water with bitters, or even non-alcoholic spirits.
Non-alcoholic spirits. That seems like an oxymoron.
I know it sounds weird, but they're basically distilled botanicals without the alcohol. They give you the complexity and ritual of making a cocktail without the intoxication.
And the social aspect. Do people actually feel satisfied with these alternatives?
You know what's interesting? A lot of people report that they still get the social benefits, the relaxation, the ritual, the fun, without the negative effects.
It's almost like the alcohol itself wasn't the important part.
Shocking concept, right? Maybe it's about connection and relaxation, not about literally poisoning our brains.
You're really committed to this alcohol is poison narrative today.
Well, technically it is, but I'm not trying to be preachy. I just think people should have all the information.
Right. And that's really what this podcast is about, giving people the tools to make informed decisions about their health.
Exactly. Whether that's choosing to drink occasionally with full awareness of the effects or deciding to explore alternatives or anything in between.
So what's your personal plan, Matt? Are you giving up your beloved evening wine?
You know what? I think I'm going to experiment with taking a break for a few weeks and see how I feel.
Ooh, like a little self-experiment?
Yeah. Track my sleep, my mood, my energy levels, see if there's actually a difference.
And if you feel amazing, we'll never hear the end of it.
Probably not. But hey, if I feel terrible, I'll be honest about that too.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's do a quick summary for our listeners. What are the key takeaways from today?
Right. So first, alcohol affects your brain immediately by messing with neurotransmitters, which can lead to rebound anxiety.
Second, it severely disrupts sleep quality, even in small amounts, which affects everything else in your life.
Third, your liver treats alcohol as a toxin and prioritizes processing it over other important functions like fat metabolism.
And fourth, moderate drinking health benefits are probably overblown and can be achieved through other means.
And finally, if you choose to drink, do it with full awareness of what you're trading off and consider exploring non-alcoholic alternatives.
Basically, be honest with yourself about what alcohol is actually doing to your body.
Perfect summary. And remember, this isn't about being perfect or never having fun. It's about making informed choices.
Right. We're not the fun police. We're just the information police.
That's definitely going on a t-shirt.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Vitariq Health Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review.
And if you try any experiments like cutting back on drinking or trying non-alcoholic alternatives, let us know how it goes. We love hearing from our listeners.
You can find us on social media at Vitariq Podcast. And remember, your health is an investment, not an expense.
Even if that investment means giving up your nightly glass of healthy red wine.
Matt, let it go.
Never. This is my character arc now.
We'll see you all next week, hopefully with a less wine-obsessed co-host.
Hey, I'm evolving. Next week, I'll probably be telling you all about my new kombucha addiction.
Oh, God. What have we started? Until next time, stay healthy.
And stay informed.